Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Jay Rhodes, award-winning music producer from Dallas, Texas. Let me ask y'all a question, though. What do you get when you get 10 of the dopest up-and-coming producers in one house? Put them through a myriad of crazy challenges, all for $1,000 in cash, a crazy prize package, and a chance to work with the legendary Talib Kweli. Some may call it a dream, but we label it the House of Beats. Come walk with us inside and see what's up.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is your boy Jay Rhodes, and this is another exciting episode of House of Beats.
Now, on the last episode of House of Beats, the contestants participated in a headphone test. There were some good mixes and some not so good mixes.
So now we're back into the challenges. We got 5 more producers competing in the headphone test challenge, and we want to see who get the mixes right.
Alright, time's up. Export mix. You gotta say it twice, let motherfuckers know you serious. Alright, here we go. Put it on there, it's called Headphone Test.
We're about to go to MediaTek. We're excited. Hey, we headed to MediaTek to continue this challenge. You know, check these mixes.
What's the name of it?
MediaTek.
MediaTek, that's where we going.
Hey, we're going to MediaTek Day 2, House of Beats. Man, there's been some amazing challenges, some amazing talent, amazing vibes. So it's a close race, but we're gonna see if somebody can pull off now and, you know what I'm saying, kind of really certify themselves as a front runner. But man, it's amazing. It's gonna be tight, man. It's gonna be super tight.
So he gave us stems to one of his beats and told us to mix it in 30 minutes.
What's up, Tyler? How you feel about the mix, man?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. I'm actually an engineer first, and before this event, like the last 2-3 months or so, I've been spending that time mixing other people's music. So when he said mix a beat in 30 minutes, I was like, okay, cool. Hopefully it turns out well, but we'll see what happens.
Press play.
All right.
Good stuff. Clap it up. So before I get into it, tell me what you did with it and like some of the things you were faced with and how you combated that.
So the main problem was that there wasn't enough bass in the track. So I actually I bussed the loop sections to a separate channel in which I'm boosting. Actually, no, I'm cutting off a little bit of the lows, but I'm also adding some distortion to it. I'm also busing it to another channel in which I'm crushing it with a compressor and blending it in. And I'm busing all of those to one bus in which I'm kind of gluing it all together. For the drums, there were 2 kicks in here. I processed both of them differently. One of them I'm boosting the lows of the kick really hard, and I also increased the sustain to give it a little more length to the low end. And then the second kick, I'm actually distorting it and adding noise to it and making it more of a transient kind of shape to it. I did the same thing to the snare. Hi-hat has reverb. I added some reverb to the snare. I use the stock Pro Tools distortion plugin called Lo-Fi. I use it throughout the mix to kind of get the way some of the things sound. And then the chimes, I added a ping pong delay to kind of make it sustain longer, as well as busting it to reverb.
Okay, well that was very excellent. What I would say, I think how TFO, how she had everything together. Like I like what she did with the sample and how clear it was and the things she did. I think you did that, and you also like, you know, had your drums punching a little bit harder and the snare hitting a little harder. So it was they were on par, but I think thus far I really like, you know, in 30 minutes what y'all doing is really mesmerizing. So that was real dope, and I'm learning a lot from all y'all, because my weak point, like, I mix, you know, I'm pretty solid in it for production, but I'm not the best engineer. So I'm learning things as you telling me that. So that's real dope, man. You did an excellent job, man. You should be proud of yourself. So.
Thank you.
Subtonic had one of my favorite mixes. It's no surprise that Subtonic had one of my favorite mixes, because before anything, he prides himself on being an engineer. And I think that's big for a producer, because that's kind of like having real good fundamentals. He's also creative and he can do all those other things. But if you really pride yourself on how things sound and your levels and learning all of the technical things, then you're just gonna be a better producer. So I think he got his engineering down pat before he got his production down pat. So now that they're kind of finding the middle ground, he's a force to be reckoned with. Good job.
First of all, that took me by surprise when we had to mix the beat in 30 minutes. I thought it was gonna be something different. When we received the file, we were like, hey, put this file on there. So I went through it, you know, probably wasn't supposed to, but I went through it early, and I'm like, all right, cool. So, you know, it's gonna be easy, or kind of easy. We finished the beat, because I thought it was like half a beat. So we just gotta finish it, and whoever win, there could be like a placement with Rhodes or something. Man, he put out the details, and it was so to the left field from what I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, so, you know, play it from the top. It was cool. Give it up. How did you kind of attack, a track out that was so all over the place?
Okay, well, first of all, I just had to get my computer back up and running. Computer died, but after I got into that, just did a basic balance. Figured out which stems was what, and basic EQing. As far as processing, did a little reverb, but that's basically it.
I see. Okay, well, the track outs weren't named, so that's big. Like, as you know, as engineers get sessions, if they get sessions of 50 tracks and you got to go through and listen for the snare and this, that, and the third, that kind of makes it hard. That's hard enough doing a mix when you don't have any time limit, but for a 30-minute time limit for tracks that aren't named, that made it even more difficult. So just throwing that out there as well. I think it was pretty cool, you know, with what you were faced with. Only thing I would say is that I think it was a little cluttered in the mids, and I'm not the biggest, you know, engineer or whatever, but I know kind of frequencies, and I would say it seemed like a lot of the punch, which mids are cool, you know, where the vocals would be. And I know, of course, you didn't have vocals on it, so that's another thing that come into play, but I think it was just kind of cluttered in the mid, like where the snare and like some of the kick, it seemed like it all kind of was in one frequency, and the lows were pretty cool, kind of felt the highs, but it seemed like the mids were like here and everything else was kind of low. So I know what you guys are faced with. It's a pretty good mix, but just, you know, that's the only thing I can say negative about it, but you did a good job overall though. So Willie T's mix, it was okay. It was there in a sense. I think we really have to keep in mind that 30 minutes to mix a record is already hard. It's something that never really happens. So I'm really trying to create a scenario where a lot of times the artists that you're working with, they don't know what the hell they talking about. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what it takes to do a certain thing, but these damn artists, they just don't, right? So an artist will call you up like, hey man, can you mix this record to 30? Whatever. And sometimes you just, instead of explaining it to them, you just get it done. So that's what I tried to create with this headphone test challenge. But keep in mind that 30 minutes to mix a record that's all out of whack, it's kind of like a very impossible feat. So I kind of heard some of that in Willie T's mix, because it seems like it was a little incomplete and it was very cluttered in the mid-range, and you don't want your beat to be cluttered in the mid-range because the listener will have a hard time hearing it and deciphering all of the dope sounds. I think that was the one problem with Willie T's beat. It was real cluttered, you know, but you know, I know I can understand why it was cluttered, but at the same time, it's a challenge and you got to be able to fight through that. Man, so we got another person coming in from LA, the boy Bates. I mean, crazy, incredible producer, crazy artist as well. He just kind of brings that real, LA, West Coast vibe in his beats and his music. So I'm excited to see what he brings.
Man, I feel I got what it takes to definitely compete in this competition, man, and I'm gonna bring the fire, man. You know what I'm saying? Definitely.
Fire. Okay. That was exceptional, and I think it's because mixing, what I've learned, engineers, it's all about taste making. Like there's no, as long as it sounds good, there's no like one exact way to mix. People have different engineering styles. I like yours because it had those elements, but it was real clean, and you could tell that Dr. Dre is an influence in yours because it was just a clean, nice mix that wasn't clean and nice before. Like yours, it was the most polished one. To me, it was the most polished one to me thus far, but still the other ones were great too, but it was just different, different ways to fry fish and different ways to look at it. But I really like what you did, man. So tell me about some of the things you did.
All right, what I did was I basically just tried to balance out some of the sounds that were unbalanced. Like I noticed the beginning of the snare was low, and then when it progressed, it got louder. So I just balanced out the snares, and then what I did was I added a little bit of verb to it to give it to just give it some body. And then the drums, they were cool, but they seemed like they were hitting too loud in my ear, and they sounded kind of dirty. So I ran them through this Waves plugin I got called Eddie Kramer, the Eddie Kramer drums plugin, and I just messed with the settings there to give it some punch and get the hi-hats to give it the clean drum sound. And the samples, I basically balanced them out too, because the first half of the sample I noticed was a little bit lower in gain than the second one, so I just made them a little more balanced, put some reverb on it to just give it a little bit of clean sound, and that was pretty much it. I kept it real simple.
Okay, yeah, and it sounds like simple is is genius sometimes, and that you did very good with that, man. So we got to give it up for that. I really like the way Bates mixed the record. The way he mixed the record was pretty similar to the way I did it. I like the way he had it coming through. Everything was very present, including the kick and the snare. So that's a real good job. You got to keep in mind that when I mixed the record, everything was pretty normal. If things weren't out of whack, But these guys in their headphones, man, they had kicks at -7 and hi-hats at peaking, and it was real crazy. So like I say, for them to take those Lego pieces and make something usable out of it, it's just a testament to their talent level.
Okay, so this morning for our challenge, we were given a folder of stems for a beat that J. Rhodes made. All of us were given the same stems, and the challenge was to mix it in our headphones, and we're about to test them out right now in the studio on the speakers to see who has the best mix.
Is that a magnet on the back of the hard drive? I need that.
It's Velcro.
It's tight though, like, but her, see, yeah, that's genius. That's genius. Yes, it is. Okay, let me give you the take it out. think you did very, very good. It was one of my favorite. It actually was one of my favorite mixes that I heard thus far. So can you just kind of break down a few things that you did? I think I heard a few things in there, but I just want to see how you did it.
All right. So for the snare, I wanted to make the snare pop. It's hard to do that when it has reverb already on it on the audio. You can cut off the audio at the transient. You basically just cut off the reverb, but it still sounds natural. You do it on Ableton. I don't know how to explain it.
Okay, I see.
You go here, and then you press that button, and then you scale that back and forth until it's at the right level. For the kick, I just EQ'd it, and I use drum bus on Ableton 10. So there's this thing called compression gate that adds punch. So I put that on everything that needs punch.
Okay.
I tucked in the horns because I didn't like how they ended suddenly, and I put reverb on it, so it had a little bit of a tail. Yeah. Oh, the sample, I added a multi-band compressor to bump up the bass.
Okay. That's dope. I really like, and that shows you like the taste of it because first off, I heard like some of the, I don't know, it seems like, I don't know if you bust the reverb or something, but it gave it like a real big depth on there. I kind of heard, I don't know what that was, but that was dope. And even like the cool thing about it is the way I made the beat was one way, but I like the way you did it to your taste because I like the way you took the reverb off the snare. That was cool because I had a verb to make it kind of like big and punchy, but I like the way you kind of like made it tight and stopped like that. I think that was real dope. I also think that the way that you took the reverb off of it was real tight. I think yours, it was the hardest hitting of all of them thus far, in my opinion. I think it was the only thing, it could have been to me a perfect mix and almost a perfect flip. I just think with all the other stuff you did, the sample was a little tucked for me, and that's just personal taste. I think it was a little tucked. I think the sample, the drums, I think you really brought out the drums in what you did. I personally think the sample could have been lifted up a little bit, and then at that point it would have been like just by far it would have been you know what I'm saying, number one to me. But you definitely are up there, and I'm really proud of the mix that you did, considering, you know, what you were given. But I like the way you made it your own. I think you made the mix your own the most thus far. You kind of have an idea of how you like things to sound, and you made it sound that way. And you know, in 30 minutes you did that, so that's real dope. So give it up for yourself. CK Jones, man, I really like the way she mixed this. She does a lot of things that are tailored to her personality. She's a very, you know, kind of drum and bass type of girl. So it was, you know, real kind of, you know, low on the sub. A lot of the mids and the instruments kind of got a little lost in it. I think the drums overtook it a little bit. But like I say, the tracks were so out of whack that people just had to mix to their personal taste. So, you know, we're going to judge it on our personal taste. But at the same time, I think she really did her thing. Her drums came through. Her snare didn't have the reverb on it. You know, it kind of was really snapping. Kind of gave it a different feel. So the same way she shows her personality in her beats, she showed the same personality in the way that she mixed the record.
Yeah, so this morning we were given a beat and we had 30 minutes to mix it, and that was not a lot of time. I know I probably spent way too much time at the beginning naming the tracks. I was just trying to figure out what they all were, and then you know, figuring out why is this really low and why is this high. Even in the last probably 30 seconds, I boosted the bass like 9 decibels. I was like, I'm making all these huge changes in the last couple seconds. I hope I'm, you know, not totally screwing this thing up, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Cool.
That's cool. I get it. All right. So let me know a few of the things you did.
Let's see. The main thing I did was I was trying to focus on the drums. So like there were 2 different kicks, but I wasn't really sure the difference, so I just kind of bust them and then threw it through a EQ and a compressor. and like added some attack to it.
Okay.
I think the snare, I kind of did a similar thing. Yeah, EQ and compression. Pretty much just a lot of leveling. The bass, I turned up a lot of the bass and the sample, which I probably could have even done a lot more, honestly. And then I just bussed the drums to a bus, and then the rest of the music to a bus, and then, you know, that's about it.
Well, it sounded great, and I think that was another take on the joint too. Like, I think, you know, pretty much you had it kind of standard with the original beat, but I like the I had the snare ringing, but you took it to a real like boom level, and that was cool. Like, I think that was a good touch. Like, you know, I wasn't mad at it because the snare, you know, in your mix became kind of like the prominent, you know, kind of like the prominent thing, and I think that was a cool take on it. Overall, I have no complaints with it. You know, I think you know, you're real creative in your beat making, and you have a different thought process, and I think you did the same, you know, in your engineering thing. So it's just a testament to who you are as an overall artist. But that was a real good job, man. So give it up for yourself. As usual, Igami just comes through very polished in his productions, whether it's the drums, whether it's the overall soundscape, and now even with the mixes. You can tell that he's just a studio rat and that he's a student of the game. This mix was incredible. It was real good. Like, the low end was really hidden. The drums were really knocking. That's like a staple of his productions to me. So it was a staple of his mixes as well. I think it was real cool in the mid-range. I think it was solid. You could really hear it. It was clear. The showstopper on this mix was the snare though. Like, I think it had a nice amount of reverb and it was cool, but it just really came through in the mix. And then just the settings on this reverb, whatever they were, kind of really gave it a big stadium feel, and it just really changed the beat. It was a very good mix, but you know, I expect nothing else from Igami. All right, so that's another dope, exciting episode of House of Beats. Next episode, hold up. Can you believe that we're about to be on the 8th episode of House of Beats? Man, let me just thank all of y'all for tuning in, all of y'all for y'all support. We see your comments, whether they positive or negative. We love them all, so just thank you. Thank all of the people that has made House of Beats such a success. We couldn't do it without y'all. But on the next episode of House of Beats, it's such a, you know what? Just tune in, because this next challenge is by far my most favorite challenge yet. So, yeah, it's gonna be a doozy. It's your boy J Rhodes for House of Beats, signing off. Peace.
Rhodes.